All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today for this very exciting announcement. We are gathered to announce our choice for state controller. And while I know our next controller is going to be a huge asset to our state, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to State Controller Kevin Lembo. Kevin is an incredibly strong advocate who brought his drive and passion to our beautiful state. He has brought more transparency to state government, created more affordable health care options and access for thousands and thousands of people who did not have health insurance before, and he has spearheaded a new law creating fiscal protocols that have allowed our state to increase our rainy day fund and make it one of the biggest in our country, and his initiatives have helped us pay down our state's pension debt for the third consecutive year. So this is a very large legacy that Comptroller Lembo will leave with us when he departs for January 1st, and we want him to know that we wish him a very speedy recovery and the greatest of success in the future. So now on to our new appointment, who once served as General Counsel and Assistant Controller at the Office of the State Controller and currently serves as Chief of Legal, Planning, and Regulatory Affairs at the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. The Governor and I are very proud to announce that Natalie Braswell will be appointed as our new state controller. Natalie has the skills, the experience, the expertise to serve as controller, and we are so grateful that she wants to step up and provide service in this new role. She's a triple Yukon Husky. She holds a BA in political science, which, trust me, is going to come in handy, Natalie, an MPA in public administration, and a JD from the University of Connecticut Law School. She's a former vice president of the George Crawford Law Society and the Black Students Association, Law Students Association, and a former member of the Yukon Law School Foundation Board. She's a very distinguished attorney, and I know she will serve in this position with integrity and compassion and a commitment to continuing our state's economic success. So congratulations, Natalie, and I would like to bring Natalie and her family forward so you can hear from her, and then you will hear from our governor. Natalie.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My first press conference, so bear with me. I'm honored and humbled to be appointed to finish up the term of Comptroller Kevin Lembo. I want to thank Kevin, first of all, for his leadership, for his friendship, and for setting an example for all of us of what a good public servant is. Though I've always thought of myself as a public servant and not a public figure, I view this opportunity to positively impact the people of the state of Connecticut and continue to do the transformative work that Kevin started. And prepare the office of the state comptroller for the next comptroller. Like many across the state, I was heartbroken to learn of Kevin's resignation. I've been fortunate to see firsthand the culture of innovation, expertise, and compassion that he's built in the comptroller's office. He will leave behind a legacy of tremendous accomplishments, and again, seeing this firsthand as his general counsel and assistant comptroller, I've spent the last decade of my professional life working very closely with him on all of the issues that Susan mentioned. When we talk about the rainy day fund, when we talk about the savings to the pension plan, when we talk about the healthcare savings and the innovations that our office have that our office put forward to make sure that the people in the state of Connecticut had quality health care. And let's not forget probably one of his most important legacies, which is of transparency in government and having open Connecticut. I plan to, again, follow through and carry on with all of those things as we move forward. I want to thank my husband, Robert, he's back here, and my daughter, Gabby, who have actually been a part of Team Lembo for the same amount of time that I've been. Gabby was Team Lembo from when she was an infant and has spent a lot of time carrying around placards and walking in parades. So when I said to them, hey, what do you think about doing this? It wasn't even a hesitation because they're as loyal to this office and to Kevin and his legacy as I am. So I thank the governor especially for thinking about me and choosing me to do this job and having the confidence to choose me to do this job. And I will do everything that I can to diligently and passionately carry out the goals of this office. Thank you.
Natalie, thank you so much. It's now my privilege to introduce our governor, Ned Lamont.
Well, Natalie, this is a bittersweet transition from Team Lembo to Team Braswell. And it's going to be a really smooth transition. I want you to know, first of all, Natalie mentioned following on some of the incredible innovations and reforms led by Kevin Lembo and Marty and the amazing team behind me here from the comptroller's office. And what an amazing difference you have made. I mean, remember, Connecticut was in a state of constant fiscal crisis, and something that Kevin Lembo addressed head on. First with warnings about if we didn't make changes, what would happen, and then the changes he put in place: rainy day fund, volatility, paying down the pension fund. Extraordinary changes that made a difference. As you know, over the last couple of years, they've begun raising our credit rating. What a difference that makes. A little bit of a going away present for Kevin was yesterday. All the major rating agencies reinforced that Connecticut is on the right track and what that means. Natalie and Susan mentioned other innovations led by Kevin Lembo. Certainly when it comes to the transparency portal, every day we have to earn the confidence of the people of Connecticut their money is being appropriately invested, and the transparency portal is a checkbook ledger of everything going on out there, which maybe Chris Keating reads on a Saturday night, but the point is it's available and people can see what is going on. You know, Kevin Lembo was one of the first ones to say, look, let's do a cost-benefit analysis of these economic incentives and see whether makes the most sense from the point of view of the taxpayers to recruit and attract and grow businesses here. And following on his lead, David Layman and our team have reformed how we're doing that going forward. I'd like to say, most importantly, Kevin, who previously was the healthcare advocate, you know, working with Nancy Wyman, who many of you worked with as well, has taken the lead when it comes to prudent healthcare reforms that expand access and reduce costs. He's been really one of the nation's leaders when it came to what we could do on pharmaceutical costs, which are probably 25% of the price increases going forward. What he's done in terms of expanding access for everybody. And more importantly, Natalie, what we're doing now in terms of hospitalizations and ways that we can reduce, you know, cost to the taxpayers and cost to state employees, focusing people on centers of excellence. These have all been the amazing innovations of Kevin Lembo serving our great state for over 10 years now, and we wish him and Charles and their family the very, very best going forward, and don't be a stranger. Natalie is no stranger. Natalie, as you heard from Susan, has been in the comptroller's office for 10 years, general counsel, deputy, working alongside Marty and this team. I'd like to think we're not going to miss a beat. We're going to keep going forward on these reforms for the next year as an interim, not as an interim, but as comptroller for the next year until we have an election. And that makes for a really smooth transition going forward. I'm really proud that she is here. As Susan said, she bleeds Yukon blue. So does her husband. He was a linebacker. I mentioned we could have used him this year as well. Can you dust off the old cleats and get going? And Gabrielle, right behind me here, you got to be so proud of your mom and everything she's going to be able to do for this state. So like I said, this is a bittersweet moment, but this is an opportunity to continue Kevin's amazing legacy with somebody who he fully endorses, is ready to step in and make the changes we need to keep our controller's office functioning at the fullest and most honest way possible. Thank you, everybody.
So we'll take any questions.
So just to clarify, this is a full position, this is not interim?
Right.
And if you don't mind me discussing that, I noticed you said until the next election. Do you not want to run the election?
No. Anyone that knows me knows that I don't have an interest in running for public office. As I said before, I consider myself to be a public servant.
At that point in time, will you go back to Deep, or is that not established?
I have no idea what will happen a year from now. If Katie Dykes will have me back.
Is there something that you and Kevin Lembo have talked about that you want to make sure if you do to the next hurdle, what's the next idea?
I think that for right now, it's sort of steering the ship, right? It's trying to make sure that the legacy that Kevin spent so many years building on sort of finishes on a high note and ends the way that he would have wanted it to end at the end of his term. So it's really about maintaining and steering the ship and making sure that everything that he put in place stays in place and, you know, preparing the office for whoever the next comptroller is.
And how long have you been at Deep? I just want to be clear on that. You were at comptroller for a long time and Deep most recently?
I actually started at Deep last March, so about 9 months, almost 10 months.
And then just one other clarify. This is a direct appointment and no legislative approval required. It's not a nomination, it's a direct appointment.
Correct.
Have you had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Lembo?
I have. I've talked to him several times over the last couple of days.
This is a hard transition.
It is. It's a hard transition. I think it's especially hard for him because it's not the way he envisioned leaving the office. So it wasn't his choice, but something that he had to do for his health. So it is a hard transition, and I think that's why it's hitting a lot of us kind of hard.
Governor? You made it clear earlier this week that you were persuaded by the example that Governor White's at and not anointing somebody who would have a leg up in running. Can you share what the pros and cons was as far as what people urged you to do, what the pros and cons were of going in either direction?
I think it was Governor O'Neill, right? That we've Malloy, but same idea. Look, I think it's a really important transition. Kevin's been there for 10 plus years. I wanted Natalie to be able to step in an environment that was not going to be politicized so she could absolutely focus on continuing Kevin's legacy and maintaining our forward momentum and give an open shot to folks that want to compete for the job this coming November. Thanks, everybody.